All right. Welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, in the studio at the wood table. You can hear it. That's it. That's that wood table. Joined, as always, by Randy Angston. What's up, Filthy Pump?
Ooh, good day, sir. Good day. Yeah, Filthy Pump. It's been a long time since I had a nice, good Filthy Pump. We should do it like an Armageddon day or something. What is that? Those old school? Just like hard arm burn.
Oh, arm burn. Armageddon. Yeah, real quick announcement, guys. FitProGrowSummit.com. Tickets are on sale, going quickly. If you're interested, May 19th through 21st, Franklin, Tennessee. Love to see you there. All right, let's get into this episode.
All right, so for today, we're gonna talk a little bit about time, auditing your time, finding where your time is spent. In our coaching program, one of the biggest things, I mean, you guys are business owners. I'm sure you've said it 100 times yourself. I don't have the time, right? Well, we all know that we've got 24 hours in a day. It's how we make the most use of our time that really differentiates kind of the top performers from the bunch. And so in the coaching group I am part of, we were tasked a couple weeks ago with we were given the task of auditing our time, seeing where our time's spent. And for me, it was a big eye-opener because this is something that we teach our clients. This is something that I'm aware of, right? These are our habits and practices and things that you would think that we do a lot of. And so it was nice for me to see where my time was being spent, and it opened up my eyes to the same things that a lot of our clients go through. I know where my time is being spent in the day, but I found opportunities to where I could do even better. Right. And so we'll get into some of those things, but I want to go over a couple of numbers because this shows to me, these were wild. Like, these were massively eye-opening numbers that were shared with me from my coach, and then we're going to pass them on to you guys. But the average productive hours per week, the 90% of the working class actually spends on productive areas of business, moving the needle forward for the business. The 90 percentile, only 2.5 hours per day is considered productive or useful. That to me is insane. That's in a work week, that's 12.5 hours of actual productive work.
And they're getting paid for 40.
Well, they're getting paid for 40, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know if it's the business or the individual that's the fault, right?
Yeah,
and
that
so,
depends,
you know what I mean? That's not enough data for us to decide is it the person. I mean, this is the 90 percentile. This is the majority of people out there. Wow. So you have to assume that there's business to be, responsible as well. Well, if only 12.5 hours a week are actually spent on production, where are they going, right? Another massively eye-opening one, 27% of the time spent only 27% is on tasks that the employees were trained and hired to do in the first place. So over 3/4 of our workday is spent on doing things to support why we're in that position in the first place. Like, that is how we end up in that position is mind-blowing. So, and again, I want to just get through some of these kind of eye-opening ones, and we'll get into more of the tactics and how we can, what we can do about it. But 10% of each week spent on duplicate tasks. When have you started something, phone rings, and you're like, oh, crap, where was I?
Go start over.
Go right back to the beginning, right? Yeah. We've done it with ad campaigns or writing copy, all sorts of things, but 10% of every week. 37% of meetings are considered unnecessary or unproductive. Mm-hmm. That is massive. So either you're in the wrong meeting, right? Maybe you're the CEO and you're discussing things that are not relevant to your position, you have no impact on. Maybe you're, just dragged to that marketing meeting, but it doesn't matter in your role.
They're just sitting there and listening quietly, and you're like, why am I here?
Exactly, right? Yeah, and a lot of this, I'm sure, comes from corporate America, but we all are guilty of this too, for sure. We were talking beforehand, right? You no longer sit in some team meetings that you don't physically contribute to, right? Like, it's just recording information for you at that point. There's no value for you to be sitting in there. Remove yourself, spend it another time, or spend it on other things. And then, so that's kind of some of the shocking statistics in the marketplace when it comes to where time is being spent. And ideally, the whole objective is to spend the time in the areas that are going to actually matter the most for your business. And so they also audited the top 1% of performers. And the whole kind of gist of Ben's coaching group, it's called the uncommon. It's called uncommon leadership. And so it's doing the unrequired. It's doing the things on a daily basis that most people would never consider doing in their workday, their personal lives, the gym, whatever it may be, right? but to create those levels of discipline and the standard for yourself to where that becomes your norm. And so in order to be there, right, in order to reach those levels, the top 1% spends their time in these following categories. 42% of their time is spent in strategic or future planning. 26% of their time is on team and people development. 22% should be operational, and only 10% left for the administrative. And so that was a big eye-opener too, because in throughout this call, he had all of us contribute to where our time is typically spent, the breakdown of those 4 options, where are we spending our most time? And the majority of the people were in the operational phase, and myself included. And so it made sense for me in our dynamic. That's kind of our position in business. I would handle more of the operational. Tim would be more of the strategic. But for us to look at this, even as an organization, where is our time being spent? What are we, does this breakdown reflect what we're doing with our day in order to move the needle of the business forward? And so that was a massive eye opener for me. But the value of auditing your time. This is one of the first things that we work on in our coaching program with every gym owner, like I said at the beginning. Everybody wants to be able to do more, but the problem is we're already doing things. And so auditing your time is massive. They recommended either tracking with an app or journal, things like that. There's a really simple app that I ended up downloading per their recommendation called 8 Tracker Pro. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Okay.
Just a simple app that allows you to either sync it kind of with your calendar, and it'll allow you to, it'll self-figure out where, are you in administrative tasks? Are you doing strategic activities? Or you could retro, maybe sit down at the end of the day and just kind of go over your calendar and just kind of put them into categories.
Right.
But ideally, you need to know where your time is being spent if you want
to get better.
If you want to increase it. My favorite saying when it comes to, I absolutely love when somebody tells me they don't have time. I love it because it's absolutely, unfortunately, it's kind of a big cop-out typically, right? And my natural comeback is show me where your time is spent, and I'll show you where your priorities lie. And so that right there is massive. It was massive. Before the show, we were talking about as simple as 30 minutes a day is one over your typical work month. So in a 5-day work period, 30 minutes per day is over 1 day's production over 30 days.
Yep.
Think about that. If you have employees that are wasting a half hour a day, they're wasting a whole day at the end of the week.
At the end of the month. Yeah.
Or if you're not productive, or the other end of the spectrum, think about what you could accomplish. You want to give yourself an entire day this month?
Don't screw off for 30 minutes.
Make 30 minutes a day hyper productive and see the results of that. And so auditing your time is imperative. Seeing where it's being spent, but then go through the lens of automate, delegate, and eliminate. As a gym owner, business owner, you have to find ways of taking some of that workload that's on your plate and delegating those tasks so that your time can be spent on greater impact to the business, other income-producing activities, areas that the team can't, or the team doesn't have the authority to, or the role of the business to go and do those things.
Know-how.
Exactly, right? You're the leader of the team. There's certain roles that are your responsibility.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the first step to this is awareness.
Without a doubt.
I don't think many, at least operators that I know, that sit down and really are aware of where they go and they put fires out all day. There's no plan. They just see where the day goes.
Yep.
Which way the wind's going to blow today. Awareness, and then obviously doing something about it. It doesn't make any sense to be aware of it and not do anything. So I know for me, there's times in my day where I'm stuck staring at the screen.
Yeah.
And nothing's going to happen unless I get up and eat something or freaking jump rope.
Break the cycle, right? Yeah.
So being aware of those things, because you could find yourself another 2 hours and nothing happened, or you can take a quick break and and do what you need to do.
And that was kind of the highlight that I got with some of the certain tasks, right? There's big things that we're working on, right? Our coaching program's transitioned. We've done some changes there. The Iron Circle, the event, we've got massive things that we're working on that aren't just day-to-day typical little, tasks. And so for me, I've shared personally, being that high performer, we live on, thrive on the results. In a building phase, that momentum feels like stagnation. And so I had to look at my days and I had to really get clear on the micro things that I'm checking off, right? I'm working on the app for their event.
Yep.
it's killing me because there's nothing visual to see yet, right? It's data, it's going in and then it's going to be there.
Yeah.
But like, spending a day creating an Excel sheet to me is like, did I get anything done today? Like, is it moving the needle? So I have to look, I had to look at the big picture, break it down to my daily little tasks and activities, and just get hyper clear that I am making progress in those realms. And that, if I did push those things off, then it's just kicking a can down the road and it's going to have to get done.
It's going to have to get done anyway.
And so, but it came to awareness. And like, I'm not just doing office time. What am I doing in that time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, because when you talk to a gym owner, they just have blocked out office time.
Yeah.
What does that mean? One of the things that, it kind of goes back to Dave Ramsey's snowball effect, that I like when I've got a lot of stuff to do is sometimes, let's just say, normally we would go income producing activities first, top of the list, get that done. A lot of times I'll do the easiest thing first just to get some momentum.
Sure.
Cross it off. It feels good, right? When you cross something off on your list and you keep moving forward, you start building some momentum. And then granted, you don't want to push off the things that are going to move the needle to the end, because that may never happen because you're doing all these little things. But I like a lot of irons in the fire at all times, a lot of things moving on. And then I love getting things that don't need to wait or they could wait, but they can just get done right now. I like just getting it done, just crossing it off. It builds momentum. Sure. And that's that snowball effect that he talks about in his book, something about getting out of debt. You just, even if you have a higher interest rate debt, you would still pay off the lowest balance first and then move all that money to the next balance, and then it just starts building, and it actually works. And it's maybe not the smartest financially.
It might not keep the most money in your pocket, but the momentum, that's where some of those things, like, we have to weigh some of the logic with some of the human elements.
Yeah.
I mean, people are people. And at the end of the day, a lot of it comes back to discipline.
One of the things here that you mentioned here on this, CEOs should be spending 42% of their time on strategic activities. And I'm thinking in the gym business, that's pretty tough because a lot of times you're pretty constant with your model. Unless you're going to be doing a big change, a year down the road, like technically we are, it doesn't happen all the time.
Well, what that strategic could be the marketing. It could be the planning, right? It could be a mastermind. It could be development. Like, so the interesting thing there was, I'm part of a coaching program. We are coaches. We're teaching coaches. Like, the things I'm learning from them, I'm implementing in our business, and it's rolling into the business of our clients. And Sean, who's one of the coaches who hosted the call, he said, he was like, well, the strategic can be nothing more than like reading new material, or like developing, like understanding the business, or, like those types of things. Like, that is what a leader, the CEO, that's where the time needs to be spent, because that comes back. Sometimes it doesn't do anything more than create engaging conversation, right? Like, we turn around and we now have the ability to ask better questions to our clients.
Yeah, I get you.
And so, like, it doesn't seem like it's actually moving the needle of the business, because it's not like a IPA, immediate return, simple understanding. KPI, yeah, exactly.
IPA, you said.
IPA, yeah. Yeah, I did. But at the end of the day, those are the things that actually trickle down to client result and things like that. Sure. And so I wrote it down, and it was one of those things I wrote like 100 times. I circled. Strategic time is sacred time, because that's the vision of the business. And if you're stuck in the operational, and unfortunately, this is where our clients typically are. We're stuck in the operational. You're working in the business. You're not working on the business. We don't know how to make that transition. We don't know what those activities should look like. We don't know how to get those things off our plate that we are currently spending our time on. And so all of these things have a plan. But if you're not aware of where your time is being spent, you have no idea how to get that stuff off your plate. You have no idea where your time should be spent, and then how to get there. And so a little bit of awareness goes a long way. But ultimately getting to that 42%, it is hard. It is hard. Think about it. Like, marketing plans, maybe JV. What do you do to move the needle of a business?
Well, I'm thinking about the fitness business, and like things that you could do is like, okay, maybe we're going to change our model, our pricing, or our marketing strategy. Maybe we're going to go after a new demographic. We're going to add a new program. We're going to maybe the way we train is going to be different. Maybe it's the flow of the training is going to be a little bit different. Like, strategically, like, this is the direction of the business. here's how we get there, and then all of a sudden, what is that? 20% is operational to do it. But yeah, the visionary work needs to happen from the founder, the CEO type.
It has to, and we went back when we were part of Todd's program. We had who was it on? There was another author that spoke to us that wrote Ready, Fire, Aim. And he talked about visionary and integrators, right? Yep. The visionary is the strategic aspect of this.
Yep.
That's that individual who has to be that CEO, that forward-facing. They suggested 18 months ahead of where your business is today is where your focus should be as that that operational or that strategic partner. But then the operational aspect, I mean, that's all of us doing the work. You can't neglect that, right? Like somebody's got to be able to backfill and do it. So having that dynamic, but that would be the integrator, right? And that's kind of our dynamic, right? I am more of let's make these things, operate while you're out there staying out the front of the business. And so, but to have 42%, the big thing that it did for me is it shows how important being proactive is.
Oh,
I mean, that is the whole focus of that getting that person, that leader, that CEO into a proactive role. That's everything. Yeah. If you're not in that role, you're 100% reactive, and then you're forced to be in the operational. You're doing things for the business today, not where the business needs to be going.
Sure.
It goes back to the whole our buddy Rick with the Wayne Gretzky quote, right? Skate to where the puck's going, not to where it's at. And so,
Well, let me ask you this: since gym owners are listening, it's like, okay, now they're aware. What's the best way to take hold of this and change it?
My biggest recommendation is you take pen to paper. I mean, you have to. So if you're aware of it, but you're not hyper aware, I mean, I want to know, and this is the challenge that we have for our gym owners when they work with us, is write down exactly what your time is being spent on. If you have 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours that you're doing office time, you need to be clearer than that. You need to know, I'm doing follow-up emails with prospects, I'm doing sales calls, I'm doing customer service, I'm doing orientations, whatever the hell that actual work is. It's not office time. It's clearer than that, right? So is it marketing, sales, whatever it may be? Figure that out, because it's going to roll into one of these categories. And then decide what time on your plate can be automated, delegated, eliminated. Mm-hmm. And start moving those things, right? Immediately eliminate any of them. If you're just wasting time, eliminate them. Easiest one.
Yep.
Automate. If you've got a system in place already, we're big proponents for automation and our nurtures and things like that. Put it on the systems. Delegation. This is where we get to decide, who on our team should be responsible for this. Go back to our last episode. Go back to the personality types. Who is the right person for that seat of the bus? Start to teach them those habits. That was one of the things that came up. A lot of the business owners have a hard time delegating and giving up control and allowing allowing staff to do the work. You have to let them fall. You have to let them fail. Teach them, coach them. This is the opportunity, guys. If that is probably the biggest thing about kicking the can. Like, you can't take work off your plate by not trusting somebody else to go do it. If you're going to delegate, you have to allow them to do it, even if they don't do it right. In our business, you always talk about, you empower somebody to make the decision, take action, as long as they can say and articulate why it was made and that it was in the belief of the best decision for the business, then it's okay.
It's fine, yeah.
Right? We'll get through it.
People get stuck not making a decision because they're afraid.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Yep. They stay there. Like, why aren't we make a decision here?
Is 10% productivity better than zero?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're still 10% better, So that's a tough one. But yeah, it's taking action. Obviously, if this is something you guys need help with, this is the area that Tim and I love to be in. So this is what we work on with our coaches. This is what I personally work on with our clients, is through our Business Accelerator program, winninggym.com/coaching.
There you go.
Jump on a call.
There you go. All right. Well, great episode. Some statistics, eye-opening.
Scary, eye-opening.
A little bit scary. A lot of that wasted time, man. I wish people would be more aware. But yeah, you can blow off 30 minutes a day for every day of the week and end up losing a whole day every month.
Absolutely. I like looking at it. I mean, even if you don't have to frame it from like the negative side of it, look at it for, what can you do with 30 minutes of hyper clear time? Lock yourself in the office.
I'll tell this one story before we get off. There was a time when we were creating the business plan for this business, and I went to a Starbucks and I got more done in 4 hours. I wrote the whole business plan from top to bottom in 4 hours than I did probably in 2 weeks, because I was staring at it and trying to think about it. And I finally just went and focused, and it was amazing, right?
Yeah.
You get in that flow state.
There we go.
And yeah, imagine if you're in that flow state every single day.
That's maybe that we'll talk about that one later.
The flow
That's
state.
Some good ideas.
Yep. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Hopefully that helped you. Maybe it makes you more aware, and you can go jump on and fix some of this stuff in your business. Would love to hear from you. Join our Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. We can continue the conversation over there. Guys, that's it for this episode. Until next time, keep changing lives. We'll see you on the next show. Bye. All right, and thank you for listening to that episode of the Built to Grow podcast, where we help gym owners win. Now, do you want to connect with me and other gym owners online? All you need to do is join our private Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. Just head on over to Facebook and type in Business Talk with Fitness Professionals, and when you do, we're going to give you our 10 marketing strategies 7-figure gym owners use to win. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, keep building something great.